Hello, everyone. This is Unfiltered Veteran, and I'm going to talk about Joe Kent today. I'm going to talk about why people are so disgusted with Joe Kent because he resigned. And I'm going to talk about the things that I agree with Joe Kent about and how he is American first. You've seen a lot of people calling him weak. You've seen a lot of people calling him a coward. We're talking about somebody who deployed 11 times. I deployed 3 times, spent 36 months in the Middle East. This man deployed 11 times, and they calling him weak because he resigned. So let's go into President Trump's video.
Your director of national counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was.
What Joe Kent was essentially saying is that Iran is not a threat to us. It might be a threat to Israel, but it's not a threat to us. So he felt like we shouldn't even be in this war, like a lot of Americans feel. So with somebody with that much combat experience, essentially saying Iran is no threat, he's telling the American people, I'm stepping down because I don't want the blood from these soldiers or from these military personnel on my hands. So with a guy who's deployed 11 times, who lost his wife in Syria, he knows that this is not our war. This is Israel's war. And I feel the same way. And I salute Joe Kent for resigning because you're talking about somebody who is a vivid Trump supporter, and he decided to resign because of what's going on in Iran. Everybody knows that this war we shouldn't be in. Our service members should be home with their families right now. But let's see what else people had to say.
Was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
Your director of national.
Now, Officer Tatum, this is someone who I revered. He is one of the people who I had listened to that got me into the Republican Party. I used to watch his videos all the time, but where him and I part ways is essentially with what's going on in Israel. He's pro-Israel. I'm not pro-Israel at all. I feel like we doing all of this for a country that didn't support us when we were in Iraq, didn't support us when we were in Afghanistan. They didn't send any troops to help us during those wars. But Benjamin Yahoo was pretty much the person testifying in front of Congress saying that these countries, that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Well, if you felt like Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, how come you didn't handle it yourself? Or how come you couldn't support the American troops when we were over there? So let's see what Officer Tatum had to say.
Statement. I'm just going to say this real quick. I think Joe Kent is a coward. I think he's a coward, and he should be ashamed of himself. He should be honored for his service that he committed to this country, but he's a coward for what he did. And then it had nothing to do with Israel. I think what he
Had everything to do with Israel. It definitely had everything to do with Israel. If we weren't helping Israel fight Iran, he still would be part of that. Joe Kent still would be part of that administration. So it is about Israel. And for Officer Tatum to call him a coward, I mean, everybody has their opinion on Joe Kent. But again, we're talking about somebody who served for his country. He did 11 deployments. He gave so much of his life to the service of America. He is American first, but he's a coward. No, he's not a coward. He's just putting America first. And that's something that Officer Tatum should be doing. And it hurts me to say this because I was a fan of his, but again, we parted ways with his views on Israel. I feel like when it comes to Officer Tatum and Israel, Israel can do no wrong, you know, and I just felt like, hey, this is not the person that I should continue on watching because I don't agree with everything that's going on in Israel. I don't agree with what he has said about Israel, and it's a shame, to be honest with you.
He said about us fighting a war for Israel is nonsensical, but people have a right to have a stupid opinion if they want to. But the fact that you think you a man, you think you doing something, you think it's honorable that you can say, I'm going to resign because I don't believe in this, but the men and women who serve can't resign.
Now, let's get this straight. Joe Kent served in the military. He did 11 deployments. He did everything he needed to do for his country. He fought for his country. So for you to say, oh, well, he's a coward, or we have soldiers, military personnel still overseas that they're not able to resign, correct. They're not able to resign, but at the end of the day, he put in his time. He done whatever he needed to do. He resigned to show us that, hey, whatever is going in Iran, they are no threat to this country. That's Israel's problem. But Officer Tatum failed to mention that.
You think you're doing something. You're not a leader. You're a coward.
You're not a leader? Come on, man. You're not a leader? This man, he served this country. He's not a leader? Are you serious? You talking about a man who deployed 11 times. You talking about a man who put in 20 years of service. Maybe more than 20 years of service. I don't know how much time he did off the top of my head, but he's not a leader? Are you serious? He's a coward? Are you serious? This man was special forces. He's a coward? Hell no. You know what it takes to be special forces? You know what qualifications you got to have? You know the type of part of Iraq and Afghanistan they had to fight? But he's a coward?
You are a coward. It ain't got nothing to do with Israel. I don't care what he said about Israel. Shit, I'm not Israeli. I don't live in Israel. I've been to Israel one time.
Yeah, you might have been to Israel one time, but when it comes to Israel, they can't do no wrong. You in love with Israel. I'm thinking maybe you love Israel more than you love America. I mean, you love some Israel.
I don't care. But when you are going against your own country and you grandstanding and acting like I'm gonna resign because I don't agree with the war. Well, a lot of people that died for this country didn't agree with wars that we were in. But they wasn't enough a wussy to punk out in the middle of a war. If you
He didn't punk out. He deployed 11 times. You never heard a story about Joe Kent wanting to not go out of the wire, not wanting to go to war. I've seen numerous times in my 20-year career people not wanting to go to war. They would do certain things so they couldn't go to war. This man deployed 11 times. So how was he trying to wuss out of a war? Doesn't make any sense. He's doing what's right for the American people.
a real man, you will see it through. I hate wussies.
Wow.
You a real man, you'll see it through.
He's not a
It
real
ticks
man
me
now?
out because
Wow.
I hate when dudes act like they, no, you ain't doing nothing. You let your country down. That's what you did. Because I bet you $1 million there's other people in the administration that may not agree with everything. But they're going to stand up and they're going to fight to the end. That means if I disagree with Donald Trump, I'm going to disagree with him in the position that I'm in to make, to make a difference or something. What a wuss. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't like what I'm going to quit. No, you stand in there and you look Donald Trump in the eye and say, this is wrong.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Make him fire
I'm pretty
you.
sure somebody said that.
But instead, you punked out like a coward. And all the men and women who may also disagree with the war, they don't get the punk out. They got to stand over there in the barracks. They got to stand over there deployed, away from their family, and they got to fight for this country. I didn't waste my...
Yeah, but you talking about, again, a man who deployed 11 times. He knows that more than anyone. He knows leaving your family. He knows staying in the barracks. Hell, I don't even know if they had barracks where he was at. You know what I mean? So for you to say, oh, he should have stayed in, he should have just told Trump, hey, he's wrong. How do you know he might have told Trump that he's wrong? Or he probably didn't want to end up like Charlie Kirk. Have anybody thought about that? So these people, they're looking at it like, hey, we shouldn't be at war with Iran. They might not call Israel out directly, but they're saying, hey, we shouldn't be at war with Iran, which in reality, them saying that is going against what Israel believes. I'm thinking, why the hell did Israel need our help since they're such, a good military? Why did they need our help? Why do we have sailors over there? Why do we have airmen, Marines, soldiers? Why do we have them over there, the Coast Guard? It doesn't make any damn sense. And it pisses me off because you've had soldiers that have died. You have airmen that has died. And then people say, oh, well, those airmen didn't die because of Israel. Well, they were over there because of Israel. God damn it. They were over there because of them. And we ain't had this thing going on with Iran. Guess what? They wouldn't have been over there. So it pisses me off when people are like, oh, well, Israel isn't the cause of this. One last video. Carson Tucker. This is a Carson Tucker video with Joe Kent. Exclusive. It actually came out at 6. And he talks about Iran.
I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. How did you reach that conclusion?
I think this is key. I mean, this would be more challenging to explain had the Secretary of State, the President, and the Speaker of the House not come out and said that we conducted this attack at this time because the Israelis were about to do so. So that takes away the argument that there was an imminent threat, as in Iran was planning to attack us immediately. That just simply did not exist.
May I ask you to pause? Sure. And so I've heard people say that, and this just happened, but history has a way of getting rewritten in real time, and then you look back 10 or 15, 20, 25 years later, and no one seems to understand the things that you saw because they've been eliminated. Yeah. So I think it's important to stop and say, here's what we actually know. So I'd like now, if we could, just to play one of the statements that you alluded to, and that's from Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. And this was shortly after this war commenced. And he was explaining, as is his habit, in a thoughtful, precise way, why. Here's Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
So basically, Rubio is saying that if we didn't help Israel, essentially we would have had American troops die. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Iran would have been focused 100% on Israel. That don't make any sense whatsoever, what he just said.
Okay, so that is his almost contemporaneous explanation, and it's not offhand. He reasons it out. He explains there's a logic chain there, and he says, we knew not that Iran was going to attack. He did not say that.
Right.
He said we knew that Israel was going to attack Iran, and in retaliation for those attacks by Israel against Iran.
So meaning Israel was prepared to attack Iran. Now, what Trump should have said, hey, before you guys attack Iran, let's talk about this. But nah, Israel ran out of their way to attack Iran. And then that's when we followed through. He knew, Benjamin Netanyahu knew that the Americans was, that they were going to back them up. So you would think that Trump would have talked to Bibi and been like, hey, hold off on this, hold off. But nah, they went and attacked Iran, but he did it off the premise that he will have help from our military. Now, I guarantee you, if he knew we weren't going to help Israel, he would have never attacked Iran. Same reason why he never attacked Iraq. Same reason why he never attacked Afghanistan. but he comes to the United States of America and testifies in front of Congress that they have weapons of mass destruction. Well, mother effer, what are you going to do about it? You didn't send no goddamn troops to help us out. I lost my best friend in Iraq. I didn't see not one Israeli soldier in Iraq or Afghanistan. But you're testifying to us that they have weapons of mass destruction. And they never found weapons of mass destruction. So he lied. Because he's trying to control the whole Middle East. And that's why he's going at Iran. This is just evil.
Iran might attack American forces. So the imminent threat that the Secretary of State is describing is not from Iran, it's from Israel.
Exactly. And I think this speaks to the broader issue. Who is in charge of our policy in the Middle East? Who is in charge of when we decide to go to war or not? In this case, with what the Secretary described, and later on the President, later on the Speaker of the House, and the way the events played out, the Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events, meaning the Iranians would retaliate. Now, I think there's a potential there where we could have done several different things. We could have simply said to the Israelis, no, you will not. And if you do, then we will take something away from you. I think that it's fine that we offer defense to Israel. But when we're providing the means for their defense, we get to dictate the terms of when they go on the offensive. Otherwise, they stand to lose that relationship. And the Israelis felt emboldened that no matter what they did, no matter what situation they put us in, that they could go ahead and take this action, and we would just have to react.
So after watching these videos, after seeing everything that has transpired on social media, on the news, you got some people that are with Joe Kent, and you got some people against Joe Kent. No matter which side of you on, you cannot think that this man is weak or a coward. He put the best interest of his heart and the American people by resigning today, because he knew that we shouldn't be in Iran. He knew that Iran wasn't a threat to us, no matter what people say. No matter what people were saying. But people calling him a coward, people calling him weak, people calling him a traitor. Joe Kent is none of that. He has served this country. He's been a great American. You're talking about a man who sacrificed everything. He even lost his wife in Syria. He's done everything he needed to do. And that's how we thank him, by calling him a coward, by calling him weak. This man did 11 deployments. 11. You know how much time away from the country that is? And he was Special Forces. Special Forces is on a different level. That's like the NBA of the Army. That's like you got a team full of like Hall of Famers, like all-stars going to war. You know? But he's a coward. Come on, man. We got to do better. And with this channel right here, Unfiltered Veteran, I'm coming correct. I don't worry about any type of agreements. If you people can agree with me, people could disagree with me, but I'm going to speak the truth. And Joe Kent, I'm with you. And sir, I salute you for resigning, because at the end of the day, we should not be in Iran, and we should not be helping Israel, in my opinion. And if you think doing that is good for this country to the point that you want to call Joe Kent a coward and weak, then you might need to look at yourself in the mirror if it's worth them being over there, being away from their families. Because at the end of the day, we've had numerous military personnel injured. We had embassies over there attacked. We've lost some soldiers. It's heartbreaking, and it's sad, to say the least. So I appreciate you guys supporting me. Thank you so much.